it's me, Jess. Welcome to my channel. I'm here today with another channeled message. This is a specific message. It might resonate with you, it might not. And I really hope this one doesn't, because as I went to tap into this message, I immediately started to shake and feel extremely nauseous, to the point where I had to just take a second to try and calm myself down. But as I was taking that second, I realized that they were giving me the experience of having been bullied. And I really do think that is what went on here to one degree or another, because this message really does center around aggression. But not only that, it centers around the justification. That's what it really is. The justification of low, underhand, bullying, selfish, guerrilla warfare, aggressive tactics levied by a karmic masculine and a karmic feminine towards an Empress energy. And we've been talking a lot about justification on the channel recently, and that quote that justification is the root of all evil. And I really feel like this situation, but also this extremely low connection between this karmic masculine and karmic feminine, embodies that fully, but really becomes that cautionary tale of watch what kind of behaviors and rhetoric in yourself and in others you justify. This really is that. And in trying to understand this situation and like trying to really tap into that connection between the two of them, I realized that in a lot of ways, justification really is the opposite energy to self-awareness, which kind of self-awareness becomes this gift on the spiritual path. Because being on a spiritual path, or being a person that believes that we are morally responsible for our own actions and behavior, and the impacts that that can potentially have on the people and the environments and communities around us, that pursuit is rewarded because it naturally puts you on a path towards self-awareness. Because if you're going to be able to execute on those values of living a moral life and having, high behaviors, you have to be able to observe yourself from a neutral place. You have to be able to interrupt your negative thought processes and process your emotions and transmute that energy into a more mature or healthy way of dealing with the lower human emotions. Because let's be honest, we all have low human emotions. All of us. We have the full gamut of human emotions. Even anger, even jealousy, even aggression, even hurt, all of that, that can be really hard to kind of work through, which is, again, a benefit of the company you keep, also sharing those values, because even if you are struggling, they can allow you to vent, to get that out. But then, they can be that person that can, be the adult in the room for you and say, yeah, but you would really feel horrible if you enacted on that. And there's probably a better way for us to deal with it. Like, let's figure it out together. That's, again, the benefit of having really good quality people around you, right? And that is really the folly between this karmic masculine and karmic feminine, is that both of them are really prone to this justification process. It's very built up. This is an unconscious process. There's basically no space between their thoughts. There's no tactic here that they have built up to where they can interrupt those thoughts. So each one of them individually, I think, were triggered here because, and this is their full responsibility, by the way, because both this karmic masculine and karmic feminine see this Empress as an Empress, and that's what triggered them. So there is low emotion here. And I do think it has to do with jealousy in its own forms for each of these people, competition, selfishness, wanting what they want, trying to control the situation in order to interrupt their negative emotions. That's the tactic that they're trying to use to regulate their emotions. That's really what this is. But while this is built up in each one of them individually, which probably makes their overall energy signature as people karmic to most people, because this leads to a very negative behavior pattern just in the long run. When these two people get around each other and these two people are in conversation and neither one of them has healthy processes that can kind of interrupt this negative thought process, because that's what stood out to me as well. I'm like, these are adults. This didn't happen in junior high. This did not happen on a playground. How did this happen, right? It's because this almost becomes a generator of negativity, where they kind of, it's this frenzied energy, it's this feeding energy, it's this pressurized building energy. It almost gives me the impression of that scene in The Wizard of Oz where the flying monkeys are all gathered around the Wicked Witch of the West when she's like concocting her like evil plan or whatever, and they're all just getting like hyped up on it. Like these two are hype men, but for their worst intentions, their lowest emotions, and that's what makes them karmic. They are both karmics to this Empress energy till they get themselves straight, and they're karmics to each other in a more extreme way because they bring this out. And they seek each other out in lifetime after lifetime in order to have this experience where they can both pat each other on the back and rile them on here. But they're hidden enemies to each other as well, this karmic masculine and karmic feminine, because this selfish impulse that's driving their behavior, it's only a joint selfish impulse to a point between these two, and then each of what they want out of the situation takes a sharp deviation from one another. But they are both trying to play each other here, and it's going to leave them both burned because they both did play each other here. And we'll talk about that here in just a second, okay? But let's look at this specific situation and how everything unfolded here, because I really feel like this situation kicks off between this karmic masculine and this Empress energy. And I feel like everything went really, really well here, like in the beginning. There's a lot of like positive mutual feelings here. There could be mutual attraction. There's a mutual like of each other here, like between these two. And especially with this karmic masculine towards this Empress energy, I feel like there's a lot of praise and admiration. And I think in the beginning, he really is like drawn into the more superficial sides of like that Empress quality, which there's nothing wrong with that here in the beginning. But I think, he finds her very physically beautiful. He finds her, he really likes her personality. He likes her conversation. He likes the way she is with other people, the way she makes him feel, her ideas. Like, he likes all of those things. But this all feels very fragile to me. There's this kind of ominous tone hanging over this because of who he is. And because, like I said before, he lacks that emotional regulation first and foremost. And he also lacks, because he's not built up very well within himself, he lacks the ability to truly understand this Empress energy beyond this kind of superficial state, because she's very well internally built and he can't appreciate her for that. He can't draw the connection between this is how she is, the way that she is on the outside is because she has these really great internal systems on the inside. That will really, he doesn't have the tools to eventually be able to discover that about her and appreciate that about her. He can really only kind of keep her in this very superficial box, if that makes sense. So this to me looks like a tinderbox waiting to happen. I also feel like he's looking at her through the lens of control. I do think there's some elements of misogyny that are at play here, like his ideas of the world and, how he views women and how he views himself as a man and what he feels like his role should be and this, that, and the other thing. But I think predominantly this man's controlling nature here and his impulse to control this feminine primarily comes with the fact that he feels a lot for her. He feels so taken with her in a way that I think maybe he hasn't felt before, but I think it feels threatening to him because, again, he does not have internal systems built up to help him emotionally regulate from the inside, which is the only way to do it, healthy, right? He doesn't have that. So he just feels threatened, and I think it lights a fire under his butt. It's like he feels, this almost fight or flight, life or death kind of, I have to figure out how to control her. I have to figure out, and in controlling her, he's really trying to control his feelings. And I think this all kicks off because he eventually gets triggered here by this Empress simply because she is an Empress. Okay, and let's talk about that. Because Empress energy, Empress energy for me is actually an authoritative energy, right? Because, it's very feminine, but feminine energy can be authoritative. This is not just a part of like the court cards. This is like the imperial court, right? So Empress energy carries this kind of like authoritative quality to it in almost like a social way. So this Empress energy maybe does have this sort of beautiful feminine kind of like authority. For some of you, this Empress literally is in a position of authority where she does have like job responsibilities. She's responsible for like, making sure that service standards are being met and that, everybody is able to do their job. Somebody is literally holding her accountable to that. If she does not do that, she will be in trouble. She will potentially lose her job, right? So for some of you, She has that actual kind of pressure on her, but I think her approach to leadership is very feminine. That might be throwing this masculine over here as well, especially that misogyny is going to kind of like creep up because he may not respect feminine or even be able to recognize feminine approach to leadership. But at the very least, I feel like this Empress energy here is in this beautiful state of like self-sovereignty. She's the authority here in her own life, right? And this is an Empress that is very well integrated with her Venus energy. Venus ruling over, and she has the values of Venus. I can see this very clearly, like, right? Venus is relationship and connection. It is diplomacy. Venus is the planet of the diplomat. You know, like this is a person, again, this is female leadership. So it's less barking orders and it's more, there's nothing that we can't really discuss or talk about. I mean, if there is an authoritative quality here, you shouldn't always be in that energy if you're respecting like the leadership dynamic. But if it needs to be discussed, we can figure it out. We can have like some kind of conversation here, right? Venus rules over beauty, harmony, all of that stuff, right? And it rules over values, and Venus rules over decisions. And I do feel that this Empress energy here made a decision, and it is in alignment here, like with her values of like genuine connection and equality, right? But he has these certain controlling thoughts about her, remember? That she maybe shouldn't, he needs to control her. So this is at odds with her values of like fairness and partnership and equality and diplomacy, and we can talk about it and, you know, all of that stuff. So this Empress somewhere along the line made a decision that she is fully allowed to make here. She's the authority, right? Now this is either, again, in a work environment because she literally actually has authority. There are papers with her name on it saying she has authority here, right? To make this decision. Or for some of you, she just made a decision here because she's the authority in her own life and she is the final authority as to who she's in relationship with, the standards that she holds for herself, how she is treated, who has access to her time and her body and her space. And she's well within her rights to assess who she feels comfortable sharing that with and who she doesn't. And I feel like somewhere along the line here, this Empress did make this decision. And I can see she was holding him to some kind of social standard. Even if this was a romantic situation, this masculine may have treated her, I mean, it wouldn't be hard to do, like considering this energy we're picking up on, he could have treated her in a way that she found not okay with her, but that she felt disrespected or something. I can see that she was holding him to some kind of social standard that is like actually appropriate for him to be held to, even if this is like a romantic situation. So that's where this masculine energy starts to get very triggered. That's where this karmic feminine comes in, because now we've got this karmic masculine. He's triggered. He can't emotionally regulate. He's looking to control the situation. He doesn't have any other options or avenues to do that except by trying to control the externals here in this situation. And that's exactly what he's going to attempt to do. And he wants to essentially use this karmic feminine in a couple of different ways. So the first is he wants to make sure this Empress understands that he has other interested parties. There is competition around. So basically, if she doesn't relinquish her power, if she doesn't play by his rules, then she could potentially lose him to somebody else or to like another company if this is a work thing, right? He's trying to induce a sense of panic, lack, to get her kind of on the back foot. He wants to knock her from her power here. Does this sound like partners or does this sound like enemies? Just throwing it out there. The second thing he wants to use this karmic feminine to do is basically to demonstrate to this Empress. See how when I say jump, she says how high? That's how our dynamic is going to go. That's how the dynamic should be here between the two of us. And he doesn't understand that he's going to crash and burn with that because he doesn't, remember I was telling you, he doesn't have the ability to understand that he's dealing with an Empress here because he's only relating to her on this like superficial level of attraction and like all of this stuff. He doesn't understand how self-determined she is on the inside. And that, remember I told you, like this is a very values-driven person, this Empress. She knows her values and she actually uses her values to, and her self-awareness to make very conscious decisions that dictate her life. That's half the reason he likes her. It's half the reason he's triggered, but he doesn't understand that that's who he's dealing with. This Empress is not desperate. She's not, he's basically showing himself to not share her values. He wants a relationship based on control and domination where she's not seen as an equal partner. And she doesn't want that. So when he demonstrates that, she's basically going to be like, cool, good to know that about you. And she's going to go that along her own way and think, That's not my person. My person is out there, right? He doesn't understand that. This karmic feminine understands that. Yes, she does, because she understands that there's a difference in feminine energies. He just doesn't have that complexity, the ability to see that a female is not a female is not a female, right? Like there's differences between them. This karmic feminine knows that. She knows that there's different kinds of females that want different kinds of things, that hold themselves and their potential partners to different kinds of standards. She can see this here in this Empress energy, and she knows that once this masculine enacts his half-baked harebrained plan, this Empress is going to want nothing to do with him. And as it so happens, that works out for this karmic feminine's her selfish drives here in this situation, right? But this is what I'm saying, like they're kind of, both the karmic masculine and the karmic feminine are trying to use each other. They are being very strategic about what they're saying to the other person in order to make them feel like they're both like kind of on side here. And both of them have a hidden agenda that diverts from the why they are teaming up here to take very underhanded actions here towards this Empress. And that's how they're both going to get burned here in this situation. And then we've got two people here that want to point the finger at each other, but really they were engaging in the same underhanded tactics. So there's a massive karmic lesson going on here between these two karmic people. Now, the other thing I want to talk about here, that this karmic masculine has sussed certain things here in this karmic feminine, which is why he's approaching her in this manner, like specifically her, because he's already sussed that she has a schmegdual interest in him. He knows that she has that kind of like level of attraction. Again, we're dealing with two like very selfish people here. So even though he knows he's interested in this Empress, like for more than just that, he wants like the long term, even though like they're not very well thought. They're not like thinking about how their actions, there's, again, like it's just selfish and like impulsive kind of energy between these two. So they could have already potentially been hooking up here behind the scenes, but like trying to keep that like secret or whatever for some of these people. So that's how he already knew. Even if they had discussions that like that's all it was, he knows that this karmic feminine wants something else. And he's using that against her essentially. And he ain't shit for that, but that's what's going on. He's also sussed that this karmic feminine is just looking for a reason. He sees that very clearly about her, either overall towards women in general, because like she just might say things. This could be one of those people that's like, well, I only like to hang out with men. I just, for some reason, I don't get along with women. They're all just so jealous of me, like that kind of person. It could be that she's just made those kind of generalized comments, or he knows that there is a specific target on this Empress's back by this karmic feminine. He knows she's specifically triggered by her. For some, it's because they have been hooking up, like him and this karmic feminine. And so he knows that she's going to see this Empress as competition just because he's put her in a third party situation. I mean, she's not innocent here. She's done what she's done here too. She's responsible for her own behaviors, but he knows that she's going to see her as a threat for his attention and his time and his schmegs and his like affection and everything. And that maybe even if she doesn't want a relationship with him, that she doesn't want to lose like the dynamic that they have, and would expect him to disrespect this Empress. And like I said, this karmic feminine knows this Empress isn't going to stand for it. So she intends to play him against himself because she's going to let him ruin it. She's not going to give him any kind of insight. These are not friends. They're not friends towards each other. These are enemies, right? So he's sussed a couple of things here about her. About herself. And basically, this karmic masculine is kind of, well, actually they both, this is where I'm saying this message centers around aggression. And I just want to talk about that before we dig a little deeper here into this karmic feminine. There's a masculine tinted aggression and a feminine tinted aggression. And both men and women can show both of these types of aggression here. I do feel though, like this triggering of this masculine made him feel this kind of like, maybe it made him feel rejected and then like he wanted to lash out. He wasn't, I think this is a behavior-based thing. Again, this Empress knows a conversation would have fixed it. He just got aggressed. Like he feels aggressive and justified in taking out some kind of like aggressive action here. But I do think this is a masculine who was taught not to take that masculine aggressive approach, right? We all know what masculine aggression is. This is like bare knuckle boxing in a parking lot. This is, screaming and yelling and fists flying and it's overt. It's in your face. It's physical, right? Like the masculine forms of aggression. He knows not to do that towards a woman. So, I mean, the bar is on the floor, but credit where credit is due, right? Because some people can't get that wrapped around their mind. But that leaves another option here for him to express his aggression. Again, we're dealing with a man with no emotional regulation, no internal dialogue, no internal self-awareness of maybe I could have a conversation that would fix this. No, he's going to express his aggression. There's another avenue. That's the feminine forms of aggression. And more feminine forms of aggression, they're more social. It is gossip. It is defamation. It is, I just heard slander. It's isolation, bullying. And that is what went on here. And it was initiated here by this karmic masculine because he sussed that if he approached this karmic feminine in a certain way, that she would suggest it. I think the karmic feminine suggested it, but I think the karmic masculine knew that she would because he sussed out these certain things about her. I'm just saying, don't let him off the hook here, right? He basically wanted a surrogate for his aggression. He wanted a female body, a female person that he could wind up and convince to bare her teeth here and actually show the aggression towards this Empress energy. He didn't want to be the one doing it. He picked an aggressive person on purpose. He initiated aggressive contact with a person that he claimed to have love feelings for. It's no such thing. Because there's always an element of control here in this masculine's love space because he can't emotionally regulate. That's really the root of this man's evil here. And so he wound, this would embarrass me if I was this karmic feminine, that this masculine read me so well and thought so little of me. He was able to just kind of push my buttons. And again, so comparing this karmic feminine and this Empress energy, well, this karmic feminine is not self-determined. She's not centered within herself. She's not self-sovereign. She thinks maybe she's in the control of her behaviors, but that's only because she's blinded by her jealousy and her rage. And so she thinks she's controlling. They're both using each other here. She thinks she's using him and she's going to get what she wants out of this situation. And so he is as well, he's not with this Empress, but they think they're both using each other here, but she thinks, she's in control. So she doesn't realize that he just wound her up like a toy, reduced her down to her most basic animal instincts, bare your teeth at this other, and she did it. She did it. There was nothing that would say, maybe this is beneath me. Again, from her side, maybe we could have a conversation. Maybe there's a better way for us to deal with our grievances. We're not in junior high. This isn't a playground. I want you to be the best version of yourself. Don't you want me to be the best? This isn't the way to handle it. You know what I'm saying? That's just absent here between these two people. It's wild. Literally, it's wild. That scene in Mean Girls where they just she was like, and it's like the animal kingdom in here, and they all just start going at each other. That's what this masculine wants. He wants this. And then potentially he wants this Empress wounded and then kind of walking back to him for some kind of comfort or protection or something. Again, it's all manufactured plan to try and gain control or some kind of one-upmanship here in this situation. Now let's look at this karmic feminine here. Also wants to knock this Empress down a peg, but for different reasons, which is why I feel like the conversation that unfolded here between this karmic masculine and this karmic feminine never really went beyond this agreement that they both manufactured that this Empress needs to quote unquote be brought down a peg. I do believe that some version of that was said, agreed upon, laughed about, cackled about, made a plan about, completely unchecked, here between these two people. And I think they embellished this. This masculine, I think, again, started this conversation and he was in the wrong legitimately, in this original, whatever went on here, couldn't confront himself, have a conversation to make it right. Now, so he is in some way lying to this karmic feminine, whether that is he is embellishing certain details, he's leaving certain details out, he's outright making up a story that didn't happen. In some way, there's a lie here. But this karmic feminine, he knew that, like I said, she was just looking for any reason. So he knew that even if she hears a hole in his story, that her hatred for this Empress energy was more than her wanting to dig too deep into it, because then she wouldn't have her justification. She finally got her justification. She finally got somebody who wanted to work with her to finally put this Empress in her place. He knew that she wasn't going to dig into his story or hold him accountable. He knew that. So both of these people are accountable for their own behavior here. But I do think this conversation really was embellished, and some of you need to hear this. They both got off on laughing at you, or if you're this Empress, they both like to make a beautiful, strong thing less than. And they knew they couldn't do that in real life because this Empress was in the right, first and foremost. And at least this masculine knows that. And she also is beautiful and strong and well-intentioned. And so if they bring this too much in that masculine form of aggression, if they bring it too overtly. They know that their argument does not hold water. They potentially also know that there is some kind of repercussion that would come in here by a genuine authority, like if this, or by another authority as well here too, that would again bring some kind of support. So they're very strategic here because they know that this Empress, if they make it too obvious or if they make it too bad, this Empress would actually get the support that she needed. They're very strategic. They wanted to make damn good and well sure this Empress got bullied. And that maybe nobody would believe her or like believe what was actually going on, or they wanted to leave enough great. This was very, very thought out here between these two people. It's very low. So anyways, this masculine wants to make this feminine low because he wants another shot with her, and he knows that he cannot approach her in her power. He just also doesn't know that she's an Empress and she would never, like under these circumstances. Again, this karmic feminine knows that, and that's a part of why she wants this Empress made low. She wants to hurt this Empress. This has to do with like ranking amongst the sexes. This karmic feminine wants to reign supreme in some way. She wants to be crowned the victor over this Empress. She can't do it on her own, and she knows it. And so in her mind, this is a female that very much centers men in her life. Like, she's not the center of her own existence. At the very least, she centers this man. So from this karmic feminine's perspective, whoever gets the man is the top dog. This Empress does not share that view. Definitely not after whatever this man did here, this karmic man. She thinks, I'm not going to be the seagull that fights over trash and then has trash in my stomach. That's what she thinks. She doesn't think whoever gets, she maybe feels even sorry for this karmic feminine. I think for some of these Empresses, she may have wondered if she owed it to her to maybe tell her to be careful around this masculine. Maybe that was a conversation. This Empress is not in some low vibrational energy towards either of these people. She's not trying to compete with this karmic feminine, and she is not desperate to have this masculine. This Empress's version of success here is maintaining her own values and principles and genuinely making her own decisions and making sure that everybody in the situation, including herself, is treated well and treated fairly. You can see how that is just so at odds here with like these two people. It's just so at odds with the two of them here. So this karmic feminine is a person, both of them really, the karmic masculine and karmic feminine, they're the kind of people who grow tall by cutting off the heads of others. And you can really tell a lot about this karmic masculine and the karmic feminine because in the face of an Empress energy, where they could have said, well, could I work on myself in any kind of way? Like this karmic feminine especially, it's like, okay, well, if I'm threatened by this Empress, like, maybe I could update my hairstyle, or I could, get my nails painted, or I could go to the gym, or I could learn a new skill. Whatever it is that she's threatened by, maybe that's telling her where she feels this kind of lack. And again, self-awareness would have her exploring that and finding a healthy way of transmuting that. She might have even become friends with this Empress. She might have even asked for advice here from this Empress. She might have found out that this Empress has insecurities too, and that she's just been projecting on her that her life is perfect and that she's not just a well-intentioned, kind person. She's, rubbing it in everyone's face. It's like she just probably would have had a lot of human realizations here, which is bring me to the final point that I want to make in this. And that is that this blindness of justification, not only does it cut you off from your own internal introspection, which essentially becomes the engine that this Empress has, the engine that allows you to look at yourself objectively and kind of paints the path forward of how you can grow and how you can deal with situations in a better manner. It also leads to a lot of assumptions here. So I don't really have a lot of hope for this karmic masculine and karmic feminine. I just don't think that they've got it in them. I definitely don't think they would have made this right here with this Empress, just considering how hell-bent they are on justifying their abhorrent, completely unjustifiable actions here. They're just hell-bent on it. And I think the only people that they talk to, because there's some kind of clandestine, it's secretive. This is some sort of secret pact. Like, they only talk to each other about it, which makes it all the more noxious. These are not people who are talking to their therapists. These are not people who have healthy friends that they're like, because they know, even if they do have like a healthy friend or something, they very well, they've sussed about that healthy friend, that their healthy friend is going to be like, wow, like, that couldn't have made you feel good to behave in that way, Like, they might even say things like, did you ever make it right with her? Like, did you ever let her know that she really did not deserve being treated like that? And that you're deeply sorry? Because I'm hearing Bad Blood by Taylor Swift. These kind of wounds, they last and they last. Like, did you make sure that you fixed what you wronged? Like, these are people that don't want to be held accountable. So because of that, they made a bunch of assumptions here about the situation, about this Empress, about themselves, about their rightness. They built a faulty foundation upon that structure. And that's what went on here. The last thing I'll say, I didn't really talk much about this karmic feminine, but I will say that she has a lust energy towards this masculine. It's not soulful. I think like maybe it's so strong. I don't know. But like she only wants him because she needs to feel worth something. There's something about this masculine's the prize to her. He's somehow, maybe she just thinks that, I don't know. Or maybe he was able to convince her that he's the prize, where he wasn't able to convince this Empress. And he'll never give Empress credit for that she's in a league, she's in a different league, and I think this was his opportunity. Both of these people, these karmic people, this was their opportunity to really boss up into a new league. This Karmanin would have had a different caliber of friend that could have introduced her to many other friends that had that same caliber, that had a certain rhetoric. What I'm hearing, that unequivocally would have changed the outcomes that she has had in her life. Potentially in regards to relationships, neither one of these people are going to get very far in relationships. This is the toxic relationship cycle. It's, and these people are going to be baffled and confused why they don't have the same outcomes that this Empress or maybe other people have, This masculine, I think it's obvious that he would have bossed up because he would be with a partner that, healthily does hold him to standards. She's not controlling because she's doing that. The standard she's holding is the standard that she expects to be treated by. We all have a right to do that. And if he was a good person, he would agree that people deserve to be treated well. And he would be willing to look at himself where he fell short of that and make amends. Not just apologizing with his words, but actually changing his behavior to where he does become a person who is able to fulfill that promise. Both these masculine and feminine karmic energies, again, they need that knowing that they are actually responsible for their behavior. These are people that really felt like they were getting away with something. I think we talked about these people in the What's the Gossip on You, in the fourth pile thing. These are the people that didn't feel a lick of sorrow or sadness or guilt when they thought they were getting away with something here. And I don't even think that their actions are as hidden as they think they are, because I think other people can see that their personalities aren't, they don't have good character. I think people feel that way about these two, especially when you compare them side by side with this Empress energy. But again, there's been a lot of feminine aggression here. So defamation, gossip, lies being spread around. And I do just want to say, on the off chance that you are a karmic feminine or a karmic masculine listening to this, you have to undo this to whatever ability you are able. If you spread a lie, you will unspread it. If you made somebody feel low, you will tell them that you are in the wrong. And any person that you told a lie to, you should figure out how to contact them. You should tell them that you lied and that it's been eating you up inside. And that you hate that they think a certain way about this Empress when they should be thinking a certain way about you. Anyway, that's what I have for you guys. If that resonated, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Bye.